Welcome everybody to the Your Desired Success Foundation Mastermind, all around paying it forward with the golden rule, which is do unto others as you would have done unto you. Now, this man here, this gentleman that's joining us tonight is Napoleon Hill. He's the author of the world famous book of success, Think and Grow Rich. When he's talking about the power of the mastermind, he said it is the principle through which you may borrow and use the education, the experience, the influence, and perhaps the capital of other people in carrying out your own plans in life. It is the principle through which you can accomplish in 1 year more than that you could accomplish without it in a lifetime if you depended entirely on your own efforts for success. That's why we are here right now, to help everybody move forward together. So, Mother, if you'd like to start us off.
I will. The purpose of the mastermind is to share our value and connect with like-minded people in order to create wealth in all areas of our lives.
We are here to inspire and challenge each other to reach and exceed goals.
Trudy?
I thought I was after Adam, wasn't I?
I was muted, sorry. Each member is committed to their own success as well as the success of every member of the group.
We are committed to meeting in person or virtually for 1 hour every week.
We are present. There is no multitasking or distractions during meetings.
We are collaborative. We listen without interrupting, lecturing or judging.
We celebrate each other's successes without jealousy.
We're honest and participate by giving thoughtful feedback.
We are open and listen to different perspectives without being defensive or offering excuses.
We trust fellow members enough to share fully.
We are focused, but we also think it's important to have fun during meetings.
Real and authentic. This is a no BS zone.
We'll allow ourselves to become completely aligned with each other and the high forces, one mind, one soul, one love.
Beautiful. Thanks for sharing, everybody, and setting the foundation of the call. So, Chris, welcome. I just saw you come in, and today's call is actually going to be around the topic of existing in opportunity. Okay, so might be a little bit deep, but that's where we like to go. We've got big shovels. So existing in opportunity, and what I mean by this, and certainly in regards to what I've experienced, is I feel that a lot of us, when we're going through the motions in life, so we're going to school, we then maybe go on to college or university, or maybe we start working, and you'll all be able to reflect on a part of your life, especially going through that period. And we find ourselves just living, we'll label it how we want to in a bit, but we're just going through every day. And it gets to a point where maybe we actually say, is this where I want to be? Is this who I am? And I believe that everybody on this call has got to that point, because this call is about us all growing and becoming the better version of ourselves. So I know that when I reflect back to being a carpenter and builder, I was very good at it and I enjoyed it. But at the same time, I got to a point where I realized that when I shifted into learning more around personal development and listening to audios and asking myself questions, I started to think, even though I was good at it and I enjoyed it, was I actually living or was I existing? And I felt like I was existing. And I remember a time when I came back I was back in England, and it was December 2010. It was the coldest winter I'd ever experienced. And I was back from my brother's wedding. And I remember coming out of my mum's house straight out into the snow, and it was beautiful, absolutely beautiful, but it was so cold. And I was feeling, I just didn't want to really be in that cold because it was summer back in Australia. And I remember it just feeling like it was an existence in that moment. And it wasn't a judgment to my mom or anybody else, but it just wasn't the life that I wanted to be living. I didn't want to be there living in England. I wanted to be around my mom and family, but I wanted more for me. So you could call it selfish, but really it's selflessness, because I want to fill my own cup. And that was what was one of the big things that awoken me to the opportunities that we have around us. And when people would say to me, "You're so lucky you live in Australia," and I'd say, I made a decision to leave everything I ever knew behind at 27, 28 years of age. No one gave me a golden ticket that was a whole new life. And some of you will be able to resonate with this. So when I was going through this process and thinking about the topic, and I realized that there's opportunities everywhere, and they're happening all the time. And it doesn't mean that every opportunity is for us, but what it does mean is, are we aware of what's going on around us, because we are living rather than existing through this time? Does this make sense to anybody? I feel for me, it's a challenging thing to express, to help people understand. But at the same time, I do know that in that moment when I realized, I can't continue living on this hamster wheel where I'm just, where I'm feeling something, but it's not who I'm here to be. I'm here for greater things. I'm here to experience a greater life. I'm here to add more value into the world and also leave a legacy behind. And if I continue on this path, none of that's going to happen. And I'll get to that point where they often say, people on the deathbed are going, I wish I had done more. I wish I'd done something else. I wish I'd actually listened and taken action there instead of letting fear get in the way. So the topic of existing in opportunity, I'd love to hear from any of you who are feeling this or hearing this, or have got anything that you'd love to share to help others really appreciate the value of this topic.
I think for me, thank you, Martin, and I'm sure most of us can relate to the difference between existing and living. And I think for many of us, the opportunities that come, we often miss because they're not wrapped the way we want them. So we often don't see them as gifts until afterwards, and we go, okay, I just gave that gift back. I didn't unwrap it. And I think often our biggest opportunities to move from existing to living come wrapped in adversity of some form or another. And it's only when we're able to see that adversity and unwrap it and discover the gift inside that we truly start living. And I think as long as we keep ignoring the challenges, then we're existing. We're just trying to get through instead of embracing them and going, wow, this is an opportunity. Because I'm pretty sure most people in here, their greatest growth has come from their greatest adversity. And I think there's a beautiful saying, and I can't remember who said it, but it's adversity does not maketh a man, it merely reveals him. So we've all got this greatness in us, but we've been trained to exist rather than live, because when we're existing, we do as we're told. Yeah, it probably was Neville, God I imagine, something like that. But it's, we've been trained to exist. We haven't been trained to live. Our education system doesn't train us to live. It trains us to exist, because when we're existing, we're malleable, we're controllable, we do what we're told, and we fit the system. When we start living, you might have noticed that we don't fit the system anymore. Not that we ever did, but we tried to, because as humans, that's what we do. So for me, it's we do fit in, Kelly. It's part of the human hierarchy of needs, is to belong somewhere. And what I'm loving, what I'm seeing now, is for many years I've been on my own because there was nobody like this. But what I've watched over the last 30 years, that shifting and shifting and shifting until what we've got now, and we're having quantum leaps. People are waking up all over the place and realizing that existing isn't for them. They actually want to go and live, whatever living means to them. And it's all different. There's no right or wrong way to live. It's just when you're alive, you're living. And I think I said on the last, might have been the last call, Martin, that most of us die at 25, but we're not buried until we're 75. And that means that we're existing, we're effectively dead because we're not living life. We're not taking the opportunities that are usually dressed up in adversity that we're being given.
Yeah, I got to agree. Sorry, can I go next? Thank you, Lisa, because you're talking about me exactly, not living. Like, I grew up and had no idea what my destiny could be because no one in my family showed me anything different. No one in my community allowed me to see anything different. No one supported me to see anything different. Obviously, it was my karma, but also my karma because of the kind of family I had. But when I had children, I got to see the potential of what every spirit on this earth when we're born has, because she has tumors, etc. And when we were in the hospital when she was 5.5 years old, for 5 hours unconscious after a seizure, I prayed to the feminine mother, not the actual divine father, for about 3 hours. And I ended up praying out loud because when I was a nurse, I knew stroke patients that I used to take care of unconsciously could hear me because they would come out of that a few days later and tell me, thank you for talking to me like I was alive. So I talked to her like she was alive at 5.5. And when she came out of that, I didn't realize, but the man in emergency next to us, between just a piece of material, turned out to be my brother's wife's father, who'd been hit by a truck that day. And he survived with a plate in his brain. So those prayers weren't just for me that day, and it wasn't just for Jessie, but for some reason, she knew she needed to have a seizure and get me to hospital for me to bring in the divine feminine to change the family lineage. I had no idea they were right next to us, just a curtain between us. They never once said they were even there. They heard me the whole time praying. They told me 6 months later they were actually next to us. So I know each soul, if we don't know how to live, certain things happen for us to get out of the road and start living.
Yeah, I had a conversation with a friend today about, you know, because I've chosen to be in India and I'm kind of, you know, not going anywhere. And then I had a friend today say, oh, I so envy what you did. And I said, well, you can do the same, except no one can fly anywhere at the moment. So, yeah, it was just, you know, like someone said to me, I wish I could do what you did. And it's like, well, you can, just do it. Because that's basically what I did. I didn't have a plan to come to live in India. I bought a ticket to join a tour and then I just went, you know, I'm going to go and just be there and live life.
That's so good. And I know there's quite a few, I'm not going to say it's excuses because at the end of the day, there is a lot of things going on. People can't travel, but it doesn't mean people can't start planning and putting things in place right now. There's never been a better opportunity for us to actually take the time to reflect on where we want to go, who we want to be, and what action we're going to actually put in place rather than sitting there watching Netflix. Just putting it out there. Enrico.
Yeah, what I've noticed as well for the last few months, it's been that, you know, we kind of expect the struggle and expect the suffering. You know, this is what we are here to do. You know, there's a lot of, you know, things from way back when that, you know, this is what we have to do. We have to suffer and then just purely exist. So we have done the suffering. We have learned. It's now time to get together and then really connect. And this is what needs to happen. We can still struggle. It's not easy, but it's not from a different mindset of we have to suffer. It's not. For me personally, it's not necessary anymore. I can still struggle because I don't have all the skills and all that, but I know people who have, and this is what I've noticed for the last few months as well. So
yeah, that reminds me, and thank you for sharing there, Enrico. That reminds me of yesterday's mastermind we had Callie, where we spoke about overwhelm. And how when we, especially with something like this, some people can feel overwhelmed when they're wanting to grow and when they're becoming part of the NG community. There's a lot, and it's that thing of looking and going, well, I'd rather be in a state, and there's two sides to everything. So there's we were talking about. I'm overwhelmed with joy because of how kind these people have been to me. But I'm also overwhelmed with frustration and uncertainty because these people are offering me all this stuff and I know it's going to be good for me, but I don't know where to start. So there's two sides to it. And when we were going through it, and it's been inspired by you, this Enrico, with that, the overwhelm, if we're going to put it there, that stress of that unknown, and because we haven't experienced it yet, is the beauty, because that's where we are molding and we are becoming. Because if we're staying in a state of comfort, we're just sitting in the corner of the room and nothing's ever going to happen to us, good or bad. We're just going to sit there and experience nothing. So if we're aligned and we know that that's where we want to be, and we're embracing that overwhelm, I tend to not use that word because I don't resonate with it. I don't think it's got a good vibration, really, especially associated in society. But certainly from that place of, I'd rather be in a place of overwhelm because I'm moving forward in an area that I know is going to serve me and I'm going to be able to serve others, than in a state or a place that's in overwhelm where it's not helping me go to where I want to go to and not going to help me empower and help other people move where they want to go. So getting uncomfortable is all part of that journey. And especially when we reflect back on our past, every single thing we did for the first time was uncomfortable. Yet we all know how to do all those things now and probably do them better than we first did. The coming on a mastermind is not that daunting anymore. Facilitating a mastermind is not that daunting anymore. It's when you get the one person coming on and you're thinking, this is okay, I've only got one and go through. But then all of a sudden when it's going ping, 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 and you're thinking, crikey, there's a lot coming in here. And we're going to facilitate this and manage it. But you do. And that gives you the confidence for the next time you do it. Opportunity, living, growing, purpose.
Yeah. I can really relate to what you just said, Martin, because I've done very similar things as well with a live show as well, which I had no experience at all, but it just clicked one day, and then the next day, and then now running into my 6th week, and then I really thoroughly enjoy it now because I have live and I have people coming on board, and it's really great fun. So yeah,
fantastic. Thank you. Who else would like to share? It's a deep topic, existing through opportunity.
I think, Martin, I think everyone, that we when we leave our childhood days and start to get into our teenage or our adulthood, we become society conditioned to what society wants us to be. And it's through that resistance, of living through that resistance, that we then don't allow ourselves to be open to opportunity. And I think that when we go on our personal development discovery and journey, is then we start to find to go against the resistance and leave ourselves open to opportunity. And I think it's not until we're conditioned to have to go on this journey of struggle and resistance to then find this journey and to then look back and go, it didn't have to be that way. So we're existing until we start living. But it's always this late opportunity that we realize that that's not all it's meant to be. we can start living from a very early age, but we're conditioned to not, because sometimes we don't have the
through this resistance, you learn resilience as well. This is what makes you who you are as well, because then you can start to really understand all those signposts, which are there. I know personally, I had put goals, but I never really thought of goals. I just did it, but for the last few years, because I've been bashed around with various gurus, and they say you have to have a goal and you have to do this, and then I did not achieve anything because it wasn't me, until I say, well, stop doing what others want you to do, and then start to realize, okay, this is for me. I don't mind struggles, but I don't want to suffer. Suffer is it's not serving me. The struggles, it's in some ways it is good, because that releases a lot of things in me, and my inner warrior can just not really go and do things which I've never done before. But that is pushing me and pushing my little comfort zone, into the unknown. And the unknown I love, because I love change. I love, and I'm very, very adaptable and things. But resistance is there every day. Every time that I put my computer on and I want to start to write a post or an article or something, resistance is there. I can't hear it, I can't see it, I can't smell it, but I can feel it so much.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. Thank you, Adam.
I was just going to add that I learned early on that resistance, or the obstacles, are what you see when you take your eyes off the goal. So those obstacles are always there, but they come more into the forefront of your mind if you focus on them. They sort of suddenly get larger and more looming and more dangerous. But when you keep your eyes on the goal, and you know what it is that you want, when you have that definite purpose, you come to see those obstacles as just part of the journey, as the setbacks that you are bound to experience, or that they're just the things that you just need to get past and overcome. And it's proof that you're on the right track. If you don't get any obstacles, it's almost like something's not quite right here. Why aren't there any obstacles? So you need to have a few of them, and that's where you build your character anyway. It's in overcoming the obstacles is when you get the true value out of the experience, is that you've grown from it. You've pushed through something. I mean, even being born into the world requires a bit of effort to get out there, So it carries on from there. It's part of our journey, is just to push through and get on with it. And I had the same experience as you, Martin, when I was emigrating from Jersey to Australia. I had so many people saying to me, "Oh, you're so lucky going over there." And I was like, well, you could be too. Why don't you make the effort and go, "Oh no, I couldn't go there. They've got spiders and snakes and all sorts over there," things like that. So yeah, it's all in how you look at things, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's funny how people's perceptions hold them back as to what something's going to be like or isn't going to be like, and that unknown. I know when you mentioned about the people die at 25, that straight away took me back to Les Brown talking around, and I've shared this on another call about the firing squad gonna kill the prisoners, and getting that opportunity to go to be killed by the firing squad, or to actually go out a door, which they just said was unknown horrors and fear and so on, and everybody chose the firing squad. And when the I know that's not hardly existing, but it is in a way based in the mindset. And when the secretary asked the general who what was beyond the door, and he said, "Freedom, but very few people will take it." And when this morning I was walking along the beach with Beth and the dog, and we're on the dog beach, and it was just beautiful. And I'm not saying this obviously to put anyone down who can't go and experience this like Lisa, but it in that moment, it was that thing of, and I saw a guy actually there from Manchester, and we got talking, and he said, I've been here 30 years and it's just heaven, isn't it? He says, I don't understand how people say about going on holiday when they live here. And I said, you know, there's some people who save up all their lives for this, to experience this. This is like their big trip. And we've got it every day. But we as in people who are from England, in that moment, him and I, we made that choice. The opportunity, we created that opportunity. You know, it wasn't like they came through and said, who wants to go to Australia? It was like, I want to go to Australia and I'm going to make that happen. And I think that's the important thing of, I didn't realize that really I was existing, as I would classify it, when I was in England. I didn't realize I was existing when I was in Australia, when I first arrived here. I had to go through the pain and that depression and all that stuff. And that's that thing of, Wayne Dyer spoke about it in his movie, The Shift. Some people have a quantum shift, quantum leap from a dream. They wake up from a dream and they just choose to change everything. And sometimes people just ignore the universe and it's kind of like poking you, and then it slaps you and you're still not listening. And then it punches you square in the grid and you fall over and you're like, hang on, I've got the message now. Don't do anything else. And you've awakened to it. And then all of a sudden it's like, well, now's the time to take that aligned action, which is from the heart. And that's the power of it. That's the beauty. And I think for me personally, when that happened and I questioned a lot of what was going on around me and why that was happening, and I was very much in the victim mindset through a lot of it. Why is this happening to me? And then I started connecting with Wayne's work and this movie, The Shift. You know, I used to listen to that twice a month. And I got so much from it. And I always shared that this is what I was watching on social media, so it'd help other people. But that helped me really understand, where am I going? Who am I? Who's Martin Ball? What do I want to achieve? What's the impact that I want to make in my life while I'm here, to the lives of other people as I'm overflowing from my cup? And what do I want to leave behind? You know, especially when you hear, I think some of the stats were at your funeral, out of 100 people at your funeral, you'd be lucky if 5 cry. What are you doing? What are you doing on a daily basis to actually connect and build those relationships that mean so much more than the superficial and artificial crap that a lot of people strive for? How are you leaving people feeling is something that's very important to me now in my life.
Can I just go back to something that you said before? And it reminded me of the story of how they train elephants. You know, they get a baby elephant, they put a peg in the ground and they tie a piece of string around its foot. And so the baby elephant sort of walks to the end of the string and then feels the tug of the string and realizes, oh, I can't go any further because the string's holding me back. And then as the elephant grows and gets older, it remembers the piece of string, and they get to the point where they could have a fully grown adult elephant tied up with a little piece of string, but it's conditioned to think over the years that it can't go any further, so it doesn't even try anymore. And that's very much the same as people that you described there, you know, perhaps back in the UK that want to come to Australia, or not necessarily UK, but anywhere in the world that wants to come to a better place, wherever that may be. Very often the fear gets in the way because they've never pushed that boundary. They've never actually tested themselves against it, when obviously a fully grown elephant could easily rip that piece out of the ground quite, you know, without any trouble at all. So we are a prisoner of our own mindset and our own fears and our own imaginary fears in most cases. So people would want to change their situation, but they're afraid of the consequences of risking it.
All fears are imaginary, Tony. All fears are imaginary.
Can I just add to that? Because we seem to just go out there. No, we have to go to Australia, or in my case, I had to move to France from the UK and all that. So it is all out there, out there, out there. So it is this hunger all the time to want to do something which is outside, not inside. So once we know whether, you know, I've realized that, you know, no matter what is on the outside, on the inside, if I feel happy, content, and I'm happy anywhere. I don't have any roots that I have to be here or there. It's just So it's this is what we are being sold to as well. This is the conditioning as well, that we have to go and do something rather than just okay. If you start to explore who you are at a much deeper level, you can be anywhere. You don't have to be this imaginary land of of everything. So,
and equally, if you have problems, the problems go with you. You take take you with you whenever you go somewhere.
Yeah, exactly. And this is what we have been told as well, that if you do this, that will disappear. Well, no, until you step in and then really realize that.
Yeah, can I just say, yeah, Enrico, I 100% with you there. I think, and I'm not saying this is for anybody that's emigrated anywhere. My mum emigrated from Italy to come to England to be with my dad. But I think when people emigrate, they go with this determination, and some of the determination lets people grow, and they think it's because they're living in Australia, they're living in Canada, they're living in New Zealand, but it's because they have grown themselves and they are determined to make it work. Other people go and it doesn't happen because their mindset is still the same as it was wherever the country they left from. And I once watched, we have this fantastic program that I don't watch because it's called Wanted Down Under, and I don't want them to want them down under because Martin's there. So and this couple wanted to go to Australia. So they went to Australia for the week and it was all heaven, but they realized they couldn't afford it. So what they did, they came back, they looked at their life, they looked at what they were doing. And 2 years later, the girl went back to them and said, it just put me up. They looked at them and said, what are you doing? And they said, we have changed the way we think, the way we feel. And now we have got the lifestyle we want here that we could have had over there. So it's all about, isn't it? It's all about having the courage and the determination to look at what you want and to go for it, and to accept that there's going to be obstacles and there's going to be people that don't agree and think, this person's lost the plot. I remember when I left Martin's dad, the amount of women that came to me and said, because I was like in my 50s when I left his dad, and the amount of women that came to me and said, you realise what you're doing, you're giving up your pension, you're giving up your lifestyle. But all of a sudden I knew I could not continue in that life. And they said, some of them, once I'd done it and left, they said, oh, well done, I wish I could do it. And I said, don't envy me. If you want to do it, do it. It took a lot of guts and it took a lot of heartache to walk away. But that's what I needed to do. And people aren't prepared, I don't think. When they look at everybody else, I think everybody else's life is hunky-dory and lovely. And they want to stay in that little ball.
Good. I agree with everyone tonight. I'm not sure which topic I'm going to jump on first. There are so many. But I relate with most of you on a lot of topics. But I think, Rosa, you just pointed on one or two topics I wanted to discuss. Coming back, Martin, to your initial question between living and existing. I think for me, the two key things would be courage of willing to go for what you want. Courage to go against what all your family, friends, colleagues think, like you're going to Australia, you're crazy. Courage to potentially change career, courage to potentially leave a partner behind because they are not totally aligned with what you want or what you need. I mean, it's crazy to say that, but I'm still young and I'm still learning about this, but I've learned that courage is a key thing, like going for what you actually want. And the second thing would be persistence. And I think, myself included, I think we're all a bit too impatient to achieve what we want. it's funny. I read like literally 20 minutes a quote from a book that you all have read, Think and Grow Rich, saying more than 500 of the most successful men in this country as ever known, told the author their greatest success came just one step beyond the point at which defeat had overtaken them. So I think most of us tend to kind of stop when we fail. And sometimes the kind of success, I mean, whatever you define as success, is just next door. Just keep pushing for what you want. So for me, courage and persistence is something which makes the difference between living and existing.
I just wanted, that's great. Thanks, Enrico. That was really, really important there, what you just said. I just want to add something to that, about that.
That was Julian, not Enrico.
Sorry, I beg your pardon. About that, he was hidden behind my chat box. About that courage factor and the persistence. I remember seeing a young couple when I used to play soccer years ago, and the guy was in the soccer team with me, and he was an occupational therapist, and they'd moved out from England to Australia, and they just couldn't settle. Well, she couldn't settle. She missed her family too much. And so they packed everything up and went back to England. Then what they found was things weren't the same as when they left. And they started to realize, but they've got a better opportunity in Australia. So they came all the way back out again. And then she got homesick again. And they went back again to England. And each time they did that, it cost them an absolute fortune, because they had to pack up, sell things off, or pack up all their household goods and furniture and everything, and pay to have it shipped over. And finally, they came back a third time to Australia. They got caught in that seesaw of not being happy in either place completely, and then having to sort of accept that it's a bit like when you vote for a political party. You might not agree with all their policies, but you've got to pick one or the other. You've got to pick the package. And so there's always going to be some things that you may miss about what you had before, whether it's the flavor of sauce or the type of chocolate or whatever, but the overall package is so much better here. And so, you can relate that to just about any change that you affect in your life. When you're moving forwards, not everything's going to be ideal, because there is no absolute perfection anywhere, really. There's always something that you have to overcome or deal with and compromise on, perhaps.
And I think that's a great point, Tony. And I think also many of us move expecting to take everything with us, as in the chocolate. I remember having a Kit Kat when I first came to Australia, and it was like, what the heck is this? It's so different, the chocolate over there. But we expect things to be the same when we've gone, because we want something different. But we're a little bit selective about what we want to be different. Yeah, we want certain things to be different, but not others. But if we go for something that is different, then everything changes. And you may find that there are some things that are the same. But the whole idea of being different or doing something different is because you want a different result. And often just shifting that one thing may or may not make a difference. I don't know if anybody saw last night. I don't usually watch television, but it was on here. And it was a couple wanted to buy a holiday home. And they looked at Pembrokeshire and in Wales, which is cold and dreary. And they looked at one of the Greek islands. And the Greek island was like, why would you not go there? Everything was just perfect. Everything they wanted was there. And they chose Pembrokeshire. Well, she chose Pembrokeshire because for her, there was, I'm sensing, there was too much that was different. And how could we live this life when Wales was easier? It was very similar to what they already had, whereas the Greek islands were too different. They were happy to go there for holiday, but she didn't want that to be their holiday home. So it was really interesting how we want something different, and yet we actually want the same. We want what we've got, we want to put it in a different environment. And I see that so much when we came to Australia, same thing, that the guy that moved us up north said he spends more time moving people back to the UK than he does moving people around Australia. I mean, how scary is that? And here's me back in the UK. I'll shut up now.
think a lot recently, which is very simple but still yet powerful, which is essentially we all want different outcome, but how much are we ready to change? So we want change, but actually we're not, most of the time we're actually not ready to change. And if you don't change, I mean, the definition of insanity is keeping doing the same thing and expecting a different result. So if you don't want, I mean, if you want a different result, you need to do something different, basically. But I mean, it's very easy to say, but that's the goal. And I think, yeah, if they want a different outcome and they stay in Wales or wherever it was, well, they won't have the beach lifestyle in the Greek island, obviously.
Can I just say, yeah, I think yeah, Lisa's so right. I mean, it goes down to even people's way of thinking about their own bodies, and people know about, you know, if you eat well and drink the best water in the world, you will, your body will stay healthy. And then they look at these people who are healthy and doing the right things and say, well, it's all right for you. No, it isn't. I made the decision not to eat that chocolate bar. I made the decision not to drink rubbish drinks. So therefore, it's nothing to do with it's all right for me. It's choice, isn't it? And it's going against what everybody else, you know, when you're with the crowd. When I used to go to work, I used to take my vegetables, and there was always a lot of food, and they'd be having like one sandwich and a banana, and I'd say to them, you need to nourish your body. And they said, well, you know, you won't eat the chocolates later on. No, I don't want to. And I was a bit of an outcast because I wouldn't join them round the table eating, yeah, get them away, eating what they were eating. But then they would say, well, how come you stay so fit? Well, perhaps it's got something to do with this. But it's all about choice, isn't it? And it's all about how you look at things and how you as a person want to experience things. And some people are too frightened, like we've been saying, of making that move, of not having the courage to do it, because courage is a bit frightening, and doing something that you don't normally do is frightening. And I suppose I've always been a bit different to my brothers and sisters and most of my friends. I'm not a follower. And on that note, I'm going to have to say, I'm awfully sorry, I'm going to have to leave the meeting early because I've got I've got a doctor's Zoom appointment with an alternative medicine lady. So thank you very much for today, everybody. It's been lovely to see you all. Lots of love. Have a lovely weekend.
Bye, Rosa.
Bye. Bye. Bye.
Bye, Rosa.
Bye.
I think something that Rosa said there, you know, about the courage to make those decisions. My sense from observation of life for a long time and with my clients is that the perception of sacrifice is what drives people's decision or lack of decision. And let's remember that no decision is still a decision. But for many people, what they perceive they're going to have to give up to achieve that goal is far greater than the desire to have it. And you know, there's a common saying that, you know, when the pain is great enough, we will take action. But for many of us, that pain has got to be bad enough before we will do something, because our perception, and I see this around me here at the moment very clearly, the perception of what has to be done is really quite powerful. It's that belief of having to give up something that is comfortable to them. So
can I just add something to that, Lisa? There's something we haven't really touched on. I know Martin said you came here appreciating the beaches on holiday, and then move here and then forget to appreciate the beaches perhaps when you get here. But there's also the other thing about existing an opportunity is that you may simply not be tuned in to even notice the opportunity in the first place. You know, there are people who are just so consumed with their everyday existence that they're oblivious. It's like tumbleweed blowing past them. They just don't see the opportunities that are there because they're not looking for them. And perhaps also because of our education system or the lack of their self-education after they leave school to continue that process of being open to new ideas and new input, and therefore becoming aware of those opportunities.
I could jump in. I'd just like to say, from my experience, what Lisa just said about you worry about what you might have to sacrifice when you start doing things. That's how I started out. But then I've just come to the realization in the last week, and that I'm actually don't have the confidence. So I've been thinking for a while now with myself, I'm scared to step up to the next level. And it wasn't until I was riding my horse on the weekend and I realized I'm holding him back where I am because I don't have the courage, I suppose, to take him to the next level in the confidence in myself. And I'm finding that in my business as well and life. So I'm holding myself back just because I don't have the confidence or the courage to step up, and it's scary to go into the unknown. And yeah, because it's uncomfortable. But I realise that's the only way you can grow. So yeah, to grow, you've really got to get out and take the opportunities. And God, there's been so many opportunities come my way, but just because I'm scared, I'm just staying where it's more comfortable. But I have got to the point of where like I don't want to be there anymore. So yeah, everything you're saying is really resonating with me. Thank you.
What might help, Lynette, that's really, really powerful realization. And I sense a quantum shift coming very, very soon. Because
Yes.
what I'm seeing is that your awareness, at some point in the very near future, you will realize that the pain of staying where you are and getting to the end of your life and looking back is far greater than the pain or the fear of stepping into the unknown. So I'm excited, girlfriend. I'm going to watch you fly.
Thank you. Yeah, I am. I'm so ready. I'm just sick of being stuck. So, and just to have these little realizations. Yeah, it's great. Thank you.
Yeah, well, based on what Lynette has said, and then Tony as well, about it's about consciousness and awareness as well. So the more we expand, the more that we slow down, because we always want to go out there all the time. So once we start to slow down and really be aware of who we are, what we are, and that we are, if we know that we are part of everything, so everything is there. It's just not a matter of realizing that we are one with everything.
That's there's so much power that's been shared, and guidance and encouragement and inspiration there. There's a book that Julian's also put into the chat there for those who haven't seen it yet. It's called What to Say When You Talk to Yourself. The book's actually written by, who's it written by? Just going to bring it up. What to Say When You Talk to Yourself. Shad Helmster, who's a doctor, PhD. Well, he's got a PhD, yeah. So SHAD Helmstetter. So, and that's the, thanks Julian. Yeah, he just put an Amazon link as well. the self-talk solution. There we go. Tony's putting that up. So there's, and this is what I love about it when we choose to step up and show up and share. There's so much value and knowledge between us all that we're able to come in with something that's going to help somebody just go to the next stage as well, or even soar. You know, even what Lisa was saying there, I can see, Lynette, you're ready for a quantum leap. And I do have to say, Lynette, you know, to be fair, when I read that I'm riding Marty and I'm enjoying it, I did have to have a look twice. I thought, hang on a minute, what's going on here? And I saw the picture of your horse, so there was it was a bit of fun there. What was so great about that was to see how happy you were in that moment. Like you could feel the energy from that picture. And it was so beautiful to see. And I know that my mum, one of the things that we spoke about was doing the things and making the time for the things that really do fuel you, that really do excite you. And we often get caught up in that thing of, I haven't got the time, I need to get this done. And I'm guilty of that. And certainly in like the work mode, even though the work I do, I thoroughly enjoy it, and I know it's part of what I do as in my being here. But I also love going to the beach. I also love this, and I love connection and spending time with friends and stuff. And it's amazing how when we get and it's part of the growth and part of the learning, the awareness that we have to experience the opposite to understand where we really want to be. And that's been beautiful to witness on the outside, which has helped me understand where I want to be and then connect with it all on the inside. Like Enrico was saying, we're often looking externally. I know that when I landed in Australia, and I'd never even been here, I just heard it was great. When I put my feet on the ground, I felt like I was home. I felt like this was where I was born. And even in Perth, I've not really felt the same level of connection when I've gone anywhere else around Australia, but certainly Perth has felt like this is where I was actually born. And now the desire and what is coming to fruition of touring Australia and connecting with the Aboriginals to then take that connection to the land and where our Aboriginals talk about one. They're not talking about things externally, they talk everything's one. Like that beauty to connect with that and to dive deeper in myself is something that really, that's living it for me. It's not, I don't say everybody else should do it. That's living for me, which is something I never, ever thought in a million years I would be choosing to do. But that's because I know that I've opened the door inwards instead of continually outwards, as in all these things that I'd be buying to make me happy. And I know that, just on a side note with that, when I was going through all the depression and all that stuff, I blew a lot of money. I blew a lot of money in a very short period of time. And at the time with my partner, we were watching something on mental health. And they said, one of the things to be aware of around that is one of the tendencies for someone going through that is instant gratification. And they're buying things and things are coming through. They don't want them, they don't need them, but they just want some kind of gratification. And that was me. And my partner, Lauren, at the time, she was like, you realize they're talking about you right now. And I didn't even see it because I was in it. And when she showed me and I was like, far out, yeah, I've just blown like 80 grand on rubbish. Like nothing that was actually worthy of anything. It wasn't investing, it was just rubbish to open up a parcel. To then go, okay, great. What's next? When's the next one arriving? And that whole aspect of it is, to me, when I look back, was existing. But I wasn't aware of it when I was in it. But the beauty is now I'm able to reflect and go, I've learned from that and I'm able to move forward and make healthier choices that are actually aligned.
I can relate to that, Martin, but I have a question as well for the whole group as well. It's just that there are many people who are in that space at the moment, in the space of wanting to be saved and then wanting to go out there than just buy something. I spend very much like you as well for a number of years now to buy those courses. Who just promise a land of beauty, and if you just buy this course, that course, then you will feel better, then you will achieve millions and this and that, and never really, once you have them, say, okay, is that it? Okay, move on to the next one. But you do learn from that as well. I've learned a huge amount on things, but I did not realize that I had learned it. So it's a big realization as well. Once you stop and then start to reflect, it's a big realization as well. So.
Yeah, beautiful share. Yeah, thank you. So we've come to the hour mark, everybody. Well, just over. So I want to respect your time with this. It's been a fantastic call, great call. I knew this topic was going to dive deep, and it certainly resonated a lot. Everything that's been shared has been phenomenal, and that's the beauty of the call. So as always, sharing your 3 big takeaways in the Your Desired Success group. It's a great way to reflect on what's been shared. It's a great way for us all to see what each of us got, because obviously we're all receiving different bits of information. So I'll tag you all in that group. If you're not in there, please request to join Your Desired Success group. And then from there, we will be able to touch base on our next call. The people who are the Gold Star members in Noble Goldman, we've got our call coming in the next 25 minutes. But if you're not in Noble Goldman, by the way, it's free membership, free platform to access, to activate the abundance game there. I know, Enrico, you spoke about goals and stuff, and it's been great. And by the way, something that's been very, very empowering to witness is the gratitudes I'm seeing coming through. And I took a screenshot, Lynette and Adam, you two both came through, and I see a lot of Lisa's. It's great to see them flowing through. So it really, for me, when I see them, it's that thing of making that commitment to myself and putting it out there to the universe, and just showing, and well, me showing up, as well as seeing you all choosing to show up. And it's just great to read your different gratitudes and what you're grateful for, because it also makes me stop in that moment and go, wow, yeah, that's something to be grateful for me right now. So thank you for each of you who are choosing to do that. And thanks for all the great conversation in the group chat as well. Go and have yourselves a wonderful day, evening, wherever you are in the world. And I look forward to touching base with you all next week, if not before. Bye for now, everyone.